And the 3 universities that were picked next week, can you explain the criteria of why the universities of
I would just point
North
you to
Carolina, Colorado, and Iowa were picked?
I would just point you to what the Secretary said, and I guess we can go back to the conversation. How many, you would know probably quicker than anybody else in this room, what was the margin of in Iowa in 2008? Substantial, right?
Sure. And you're behind now.
So any state, actually not the one I saw most recently, but any state by which we won by that margin, should we not travel there?
What's, I guess what I would ask is not the University of Texas.
Great universities, great, great parts of the country. Also, as you know, Chuck, let me just finish. As you know, Chuck, there are a lot of things that go into decisions about travel. It is obviously easier to travel only half the country than the entire length of the country. I would point out, as I did yesterday, that the President was recently delivering remarks in Oklahoma. And while hope springs eternal, I am not prepared at this moment to call that a battleground state. He gave a major speech late last year. I misspoke. I said Nebraska yesterday. It was Kansas, as you know. Again, in either case, although Nebraska, apparently, there was the Omaha bifurcation in 2008, generally not viewed as up for grabs, generally not perceived to be up for grabs. But Kansas, are you giving us Kansas?
No.
Is it in your battleground list?
No, but in all seriousness, all of his travel next week is to 3 battleground states, are all official visits. You say it feeds the cynicism that this is all sort of one entity here. Is it? Would Jay Carney, the journalist, would be asking the same question?
The issue that this concerns, the President's trip next week, education, is, as Secretary Duncan, who made clear he does not give a rip about politics, does not believe that education should be a political or partisan issue, and largely unnoted by NBC and other major outlets represented in this room, has not, by and large, been a partisan issue in this administration, is what the President's going to be talking about. And the unbelievably important reality that on July 1st, rates for student loans are going to double if we don't take action. That is a policy issue that will matter greatly to the students of the very large universities the President will be visiting. There is, to suggest, again, it is simply not something we accept that the President should not be able to travel all around the country, should not be able to travel to talk about his agenda with the American people that he represents. And if you took seriously all the maps that show states that are battleground states and therefore would be somehow inappropriate for an incumbent president to visit in a re-election year, he would be severely restricting his ability to go to big parts of the country. So, I'm just going to give you guys this answer because it's it's a fact. And I would point, Jake and I were talking about this yesterday when this story first came out. Wall Street Journal ran this great graphic about how President Obama had traveled to more battleground states at this stage in the re-election cycle than his predecessor. But what they left out was that they did not consider in 2004 Virginia to be a battleground state. It was solid Republican, but they did consider it for President Obama because he won it against all expectations, right? And as you know, Chuck, you've been around long enough, every president goes to Virginia all the time because it's an easy way to get out of Washington and get beyond the Beltway and get out into the country. So, there's a lot of ways to make a lot more out of this than there is.
No campaign events in North Carolina, Colorado, Iowa next week?
I don't have the full schedule, but these are official events where he's going to talk about the student loan issues.